Evan Drellick put out a really good article on the back and forth between Tony Clark and Rob Manfred. It included a pretty interesting back and forth on a potential international draft, of course, the salary cap talk. So we'll hit a few layers here. Manfred talked about how he's getting emails. I'm getting emails from fans complaining about the Dodgers. Sounds windy there, by the way. And Tony Clark's like, yeah, I'm getting emails too. People concerned about their teams not doing anything, not as concerned about the Dodgers doing things. He's like, obviously Manfred's going to point out the team's spending. He's like, and I'm going to point out the team's not spending. So I feel like they're at a stalemate on that one. That's a story we've been talking about for a while. I think the back and forth, I want to start here on the international draft, was very interesting because there are serious issues with the international signing system right now, right? All these deals being done with teenagers and figuring out how to get them over here. And the deals are done before they actually start the season or before they start the signing period. Okay. So guys, Manfred said, I want to be clear about this. This is not a number or economic issue with the international draft they're trying to get. So he said, not a number of player or economic issue. It's a transparency issue. Okay. So in Drellick's article, he says, in July of 2022, the sides were $69 million apart in their proposals for an international bonus pool. The league proposed $191 million. The union proposed $260 million. They disagreed on other details as well. Tony Clark replied, oh, it's not an economic issue? Quote, well, then we probably should have had them engage when we made a proposal the last time, which we had never made before, because it really seemed like it was an economic issue, along with a number of other things that were associated with protecting the integrity of each country that was going to be part of an international draft system. So it's great to hear that it's not an economic issue. We'll take that under advisement when we sit down at the bargaining table and we go back and forth on the value associated with a draft versus a non-draft. Okay. How do you explain this one, AJ? The league wants an international draft. The players are coming to the table saying, cool, let's talk this out. And then the league's like, yeah, but it's got to be for less money. So is it about the international draft or is it about holding down how much these players are receiving? Because that one is tough to defend if you're the league.
I'm going to let Kratz answer this one because you lost me about 2 minutes ago when you started talking about 150, 191 to 260
Wait,
million.
how do okay?
You know
wait, very
because I'm going to explain why.
Why?
Scott. Because this is just negotiating ploy, and they're negotiating in the media, which they didn't want to do, which everyone says we don't want to do, but they're negotiating in the media because you know what happens? The owners or the players say, hey, we want an international draft. And then the players say, okay, well, we don't want that. And then the two sides meet, and they're like, one of them goes, oh, well, we gave away trying to want the international draft. And the players say, yeah, but we wanted, knowing that this really has not become a real thing until they actually sit down and talk about it. But it's just a way for them to say, well, we gave up the international draft, so the players, now have to give up free agency, or players don't have to give up thinking about, whatever it is. It's all negotiating, and until they actually sit down in a room and talk about it, I mean, it's like, oh my gosh. It's kind of like, where will Juan Soto go? Until Juan Soto signs, I don't really want to care about it. I don't really care about this because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So why am I going to sit here and stress over what they're talking about? They're just talking nonsense because they're both negotiating in the media.
They are. They are negotiating in the media, but to me, like, it's always it shouldn't come down to the economic part of it. It should be coming down to the competition part of it. What is going to make our product, Major League Baseball, the players, be the best product that we can possibly put out there for the fans that are lining up outside the fence right now? They're waiting for one glimpse of a big league player, whether it's Paul Skeens or Andrew McCutchen. It doesn't matter who it is. How can we make more fans clamor about our game? And sure as heck is not being unrealistic about how much money everybody makes or who should get what. It should be about what makes this game better, because everybody wins when that's your focus.
Also, I mean, the fight is over like $2 million per team. Sure, we can make a case that that's a lot in the real world, but for billionaires, it's not. AJ, my thing is, if the mission from the league is to get an international draft, maybe you bend a little bit more on a situation like this. We all know that on a CBA by CBA basis, they're going to try to, keep that number as far down as possible anyway. So why does it have to be a legal battle over the number, right? Like
everything is a legal
litigation.
battle, Scott. Everything is a legal battle. Everything is
in life.
battle. Everything, they want to make everything into a big deal. So when they give up a little tiny thing, they're like, "Oh, look at this big thing we gave up, so you have to give up." So that's kind of my point: is everything is a legal battle. Everything is a fight in the newspaper when it doesn't have to be. Like, I think if Tony Clark talked to his players, I think some players would be for a world draft and some players wouldn't be for a world draft, right? But I think at the same time, until you sit down with the players and then you sit down with the owners and then they sit down together, this is not going to happen because it's just not. It's just not the way it works. And I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I don't know. I hate when people negotiate in the media because it seems like both sides sound like they're being whiny to me. It's like, oh,
Petty.
right? Like,
Petty.
yeah, they're being petty. They're just being, I want to say whiny little somethings, but I can't say that on television.